Hello my sweet bestie angels, welcome back. I have a few bookish things that I want to do over the next few days, and I thought, hey, this is the perfect time to film an ultimate book video, doing bookish things video, whatever you want to call it. I love these videos. They may be one of my favorites to film. I want to do some book shopping. I really need to update my reading journal, like desperately need to update it. I haven't updated it since the end of May, which is crazy for me, so I need to do all of June and start July. I'm sure we'll do some reading together and we'll just see where else this video takes us, but I'm just excited to be doing bookish things with you guys this week. We're starting off strong because I just got a knock at the door because I have a package and it looks like it's book mail. I have no idea what it is, so I thought we could open it together. It's obviously from Penguin, but my guess would be that it's a romance book only because the box is pink, but I truly have no idea. Oh my gosh! This smells so good. How cute is this? We have the final book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series with the new like TV show cover. Oh my gosh, these covers are just so beautiful. If only summer could last forever. I can't believe that we're about to get season 3 of the TV show. I'm so excited. Maybe I need to rewatch season 2 or season 1 as well. Who knows? In preparation. Like, it comes out so soon. It probably is out by the time this video goes up. Anyway, but yeah, maybe I should do a reread. I reread book 2 last year before season 2 came out, so maybe I should reread this. Oh no. I just saw something in the box that does not look good. Let me just read this first. Hi Rachel, summer might be 6 months away, but luckily for you, our favorite book-to-screen adaptation is only a few weeks away. Return to the world of Cousin's Beach and get ready for season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty by reading the book first. After all, we'll always have summer. From Maddie and the Penguin team. Thank you so much to Maddie and the Penguin team for sending this over. Oh, okay. Okay, they put in this little note that says, Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah, flip me to show your team. And I thought that meant like flip the piece of paper because it's just like floating around the box, but there was nothing on the other side, so obviously that's not what they meant. But at first I saw this, and if you guys can see this, it says Team Jeremiah, and I said, oh no, I have been assigned a team that I did not want to be a part of. But then I saw this in the bottom of the box, so it looks like they've put both options in. We have Team Jeremiah or Team Conrad, and then we also have some watermelon slices with Team Conrad on one side, Team Jeremiah on the other side, which maybe that is what this sticky note was supposed to be a part of. I can literally smell them. They smell so good. That is so fun. Thank you so much, Penguin. But yes, I am definitely, for those who don't know, Team Conrad. Always have been, always will be. Thank you and good night. I am so excited right now because I'm about to go book shopping, and I haven't been book shopping in a little bit. I've been trying to be intentional about the books that I'm adding to my TBR cart, but today I'm letting myself go book shopping. I have a list of books that I want to get, so I'm going to try and only get ones that I've been thinking about for a little while, or books that I've already read that I want the physical copy of. That is kind of the main purpose of this trip. There's a few books that I read on my Kindle and really enjoyed, so I want my own copy of them, but there are 1 or 2 other books that I would love to grab today, so we'll see what we can find. I think I'm gonna go to 2 bookstores. We'll see if we add any others to like our mental TBR or our wish list, and then obviously I'll give you guys a haul afterwards. I'd give you a little haul. It is a little haul. I didn't get very many books, but I did tick off most of my list that I went in with. First up, I went to Harry Hartog, and I got 2 books from here. First one I got is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I read this in June, but I read it on my Kindle, so I wanted to buy myself the physical copy because I loved this book. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. Like, it was so good. I can't tell if I like this one or This Summer Will Be Different more. Like, out of those two, her release last year and her release this year, I can't tell which one's my favorite because I love This Summer Will Be Different, but I also loved this. It was so good. Anyway, I also just love the cover of it. It is beautiful. So I'm very happy to be able to add this to my bookshelf. And then the other book that I got from Harry Hartog is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I am so excited to finally have my hands on this. I've been wanting to pick it up for a while, but I told myself I couldn't purchase this until I had read a few more from my physical TBR and like cleared some space, you know, because my TBR cart has been looking a little bit too full recently, so I'm trying to be somewhat sensible. But yeah, I finally got my hands on this. I'm so excited to read it. It's actually the only book that I bought today that will be going on my TBR cart, because the other ones I was just buying physical copies of books that I'd already read. But those are the books that I got from Harry Hartog, and then from QBD I ended up just getting one book, and that was The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Again, a book that I read on my Kindle in June and I loved it. 4.5 stars. It was so good. I was reading this on the plane, or I finished it I guess on the plane to New York, but it was so good. I loved it, and again, I just needed to have a physical copy on my shelf. And I think there's going to be at least one more book in the series. I don't know if it's like a duology, trilogy, what the situation is, but I know that there's more to come, so I'm very intrigued to follow this series as it continues. But I also just really like the cover. I think it's so pretty. They had the most beautiful copies of these at Barnes & Noble's when I was in New York that had such gorgeous sprayed edges with a really gorgeous design, and they were obviously hardcover as well, but I had to refrain. It would have been so heavy in my suitcase. But anyway, I finally have my copy of The Night and the Moth, and that's my little mini book haul, and 2 of them are going straight onto my shelf, which is even more satisfying. I don't even need to put them on the TBR cart. But anyway, the only other book that I had on my list that I didn't end up getting today was Anne of Green Gables, which again, I read on my Kindle, but I want to get a physical copy of. I did see one physical copy of it that I loved, but it's like a special edition and it was kind of expensive. And I'm trying to work out if I'd rather get a box set of the whole series, because I've seen some beautiful editions of the first book, Anne of Green Gables, but just in case you didn't know, Anne of Green Gables is like a series. And so I'm trying to think, would I rather just get a box set? But I might have to end up getting that online because I've looked in a few bookstores and haven't been able to find it, so that might have to be an online purchase. I just pulled up to Officeworks because I'm going to print some stuff for my book journal so that we can work on that later. I need to invest in a printer at home because this is such a silly trip to make, but here we are once again. Printing is done. We'll do stuff with that a little bit later. But I decided that because it's just like such a beautiful day out, I thought maybe I could go and grab myself like a coffee or something to eat, and then we could go to a park and do some reading. So let's go try and find some sort of food and or coffee. Thank you. Food and coffee acquired. I ended up going to Soul Origin. Honestly, it was the first place that I saw that had both food and coffee, and I was like, why not give it a go? I don't think I've ever tried Soul Origin, which is kind of funny because I feel like it's in every Australian food court ever, but it looked good. Their sandwiches looked good. Very wary about this coffee. First of all, it has come in a dome lid, which is not my fave, but I just got an iced latte and hopefully it tastes good. I don't know. I don't have high hopes. I don't know why. It was just not really the vibes, but I literally couldn't see another place like close to me that sold coffee, so it's okay. It's not bad. It'll definitely suffice. I've just looked up literally like a random park. So I'm gonna drive there. I've never been there before. I literally was just like on my Maps app and I was like, that looks like a park. So I'm gonna try go there. But if it's not good, we'll find somewhere else. But I kind of like finding new parks. Also, I've been listening to old Justin Bieber today and it's so fun. I go through phases where I listen to old Justin Bieber, like maybe every couple months, and it just puts me in the best mood. I've put on like a playlist that's literally just called Old JB, something like that. I just looked it up on Spotify and I forgot this song existed, but this was like my favorite Justin Bieber song for many years. I literally ran a fan account on Facebook, which is kind of crazy, but I was a big Justin Bieber girl and I had a fan page where I would like make edits and stuff of Justin Bieber, and the name of my fan page was a lyric from this song. So this is just so nostalgic to me. I love being a fangirl. I think I found the perfect spot. It looks so peaceful. I just dropped half my sandwich. Cool! On the ground. Cool. Okay, well we have half a sandwich. Cool, cool, cool. I can't believe I did that. The half was really good though, and I would get again. Anyway, I ended up moving because I realized that I had my picnic blanket in the back of my car, and I was like, oh, I can have like a full-on picnic. So finished my food, set up my picnic rug, and now I'm gonna read my book. This is my current read. It is Picking Daisies on Sundays, and I'm really not far in at all. I'm up to page 54, so I'm just gonna have a little solo reading picnic. Been here for a little while now, and I think it's time for me to head home, but I thought I'd give you a little reading update. I'm about 100 pages into this book now, so about a third of the way through, I guess. And if you guys don't know what this book is about, we're following our main character, Danny, and she was best friends with this guy called Levi all throughout high school, and then basically as soon as they graduated, something happened. We don't really know what, but they haven't seen each other in 4 years, and then they bump into each other in a bar in the West Village because it's set in New York City, and I guess they kind of reconnect. Like I said, they haven't seen each other in years, but very quickly they end up in like a fake dating situation because Levi's sister is getting married. He needs a date to the wedding, and so they almost like accidentally end up in this situation. So now they're fake dating after literally being no contact for years, and so we're just following this kind of messy situation where our main character has kind of always had a thing for Levi, but she thinks that she has been like majorly friend zoned like her whole life. And to be honest, we don't know how Levi feels, but I assume he either had or has a bit of a secret crush on her too. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely not obsessed yet. I thought I would be liking it a little bit more than I am, which is a bit sad, but obviously I'm still kind of towards the beginning. I'm not even halfway through yet, so it might just be a bit of a slow burn in terms of like how I feel about it. Like it might just take me a second to get invested, but right now I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'm having a good time, but I'm not obsessed. I'm not swooning. I'm not kicking my feet, but it is good. It's very wholesome and very sweet, which I like. I wanted to give you guys a little book club update. If you're new here or if you just don't know, I have a book club with 3 of my besties, and it is one of my favorite things ever. I think we've been doing it for almost 2 years now, and it truly is just like the highlight of my month, and it's just the best. We each take turns choosing the book each month, and our book for the month of June was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think this one will be officially added to our book club hall of fame because we all loved this book so much. I rated it at 4.5 stars, and the other 3 girls rated it 5 stars, and it's very rare that we all rate a book that highly, so when it happens, the book has to be added to the Hall of Fame, at least our mental Hall of Fame. But I wanted to let you guys know our final ratings because I know you guys like to know. And also, if you're looking for a book club book for your book club, I couldn't recommend this one enough. I feel like our discussions were just so interesting. I feel like each of us just had something that stood out to us from this book, and a lot of us had something different because there's just so many facets to this book and so many elements and layers, and I love that. And I always feel like we get the best conversations out of books like that where there's just so much to discuss. I feel like our worst conversations tend to come from like romance books and thrillers because it just doesn't feel like there's as much to say apart from like in a thriller, did you guess the plot twist? Did you see it coming? Did you know who the bad guy was or the killer was or whatever it may be? And then again, in romance books, there's not like a whole lot to discuss because usually it's like, you know who the couple is going to be, you know they're going to fall in love. How they fall in love is very interesting and fun to read, but it's just not the best to discuss, at least from our experience. I feel like our best conversations tend to come from probably generally general fiction or literary fiction or historical fiction probably. But yeah, this is definitely one of our favorite books we've read. We all absolutely loved it. And then for our July book, which I do know that it's like halfway through July right now, slash heading towards the end of July, and we literally just decided on our July book. So this I think is going to be our July/August book, just because we're all very busy people, and this year especially a lot of us have been traveling, so we haven't been able to nail it down to like every single month. But that's okay. That's the beauty of a book club. You can kind of do whatever you want and whatever works for your group. But yeah, for our July book, it was my turn to choose, which is so fun, but also like so much pressure. I literally never know what to pick. And trying to find a book that you think you'll all like, but a book that none of you have read, can sometimes be a little bit tricky. So it took me a while to kind of decide on a book. I narrowed it down to a few, and then I decided on one in particular. So we went out for dinner the other night, the four of us, and we decided to go have dessert at Yochi, of course. And that's where we were discussing our opinions on atmosphere, and then I told all of the girls to close their eyes and put their hands out so that I could give them the next book, and this was their reaction. It was so fun because some of the girls had heard of this book and some of the girls hadn't. So some of the girls were excited, some of them were just like, oh, I've never heard of this before. But yes, I decided to go with Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I'm so nervous but so excited. I have been meaning to read this book for so long, and I thought maybe if I make it a book club book, it'll literally force me to read it soon. I know that this is a favorite book for so many people, but I also know that it's quite heavy. It talks about a lot of very difficult and heavy topics, and that intimidates me a lot. And it's also kind of long. It's kind of chunky. And so I've just been really nervous to pick it up, even though I think I'm gonna love it. Like, I think honestly, if I had to guess, it might be a 5-star for me. Like, that is my prediction. I obviously could be wrong. I might really not like it at all, but I think I'm really gonna like it. But again, it's very intimidating to me, so that's why I've kind of like put it off till now. But I'm really determined to read it soon, and so what better way to force myself to read it than by making it a book club book. I ended up deciding to go with this one because, again, we tend to have the best conversations from like literary fiction, general fiction, stuff like that, so that ticks that box. And then also recently, a few of the girls in my book club have kind of been drawn towards Frederick Bachman a little bit when we were in New York. Soph almost bought this book, but then she decided to buy My Friends by Frederick Bachman instead, and George bought a copy of A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman as well. And so I thought, okay, 2 of the 4 girls are already drawn towards this author. I really want to read this book. I've heard incredible things about it, so I'm gonna make this book club book. So if you guys want to join us, feel free to read along with us. I have no idea what we're gonna think of this. I feel like it could go one of 2 ways. I feel like all of us might love it, or all of us might have completely different opinions, and I guess I could say that about every book we ever choose. But I am just so interested to see what our reading experience is gonna be, and I feel like if you're a bit intimidated by a book, it's really fun to read it with a friend, because it feels like you're not doing it alone, and you also have the reward of being able to discuss it with someone afterwards, which is one of my favorite things. I love being able to read a really consuming book, but then being able to talk about it and discuss it with 3 people who have just experienced the exact same thing. So yeah, I'm very excited to read that, and I guess I'll keep you guys updated on our thoughts on that one once we've discussed it. But now it's time to work on our reading journal. I have so many spreads to update because I have not updated my reading journal since the end of May. So we have a lot to do, which is exciting because it's going to be very satisfying, but it's also going to just take a minute. I love my reading journal. It's so much fun, but it is time consuming. So I think I'm going to put on an audiobook or a YouTube video or something like that and just lock in. I truly think there's nothing more satisfying than an overhead camera shot of me filling out spreads in my book journal. I don't know what it is, but I love to film them. I love to edit them. I love to watch them. So here we are updating a bunch of different spreads. This is just my reading records page. So I feel like this is where I keep all the data from all of the books that I read throughout the year, where I just have the title, the author, the genre, the page number, and my star rating all in one place. I actually got to start on a new page for this one. Also, because it's been a while since I updated my journal last, I need to fill out all of the books that I read in June and all of the data from those, as well as the books that I've read so far in July. So I ended up reading 5 books in June, which is less than normal, but that's totally fine because I was traveling, so that's expected. And then I've read 5 so far this month, and I also needed to fill out my genre spread. And usually my romance and fantasy genres are kind of like neck and neck in terms of how many I read of them each year. They're definitely my 2 most popular genres, but at the moment it looks like romance is winning this year. Sometimes I get questions asking why I track all of this stuff, and honestly the answer is I just find it interesting. I know it's not necessary, but I just find it really interesting to look over the data and the stats and look at what I read the most of and the least of and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely not necessary. I just find it really, really fun. At the beginning of the year I printed out a bunch of little mini book covers for for all of my most anticipated releases for the year, and each time I read one from that list, I get to glue in the little book cover, and I'm loving how this spread is turning out. I also had one more 5-star read, which was Anne of Green Gables, so I added that one to my Hall of Fame. And then there were a few spreads that I didn't need to update because there was nothing relevant to update, but I did need to update my favorite books of 2025. So I choose my favorite book that I read from each month and glue in the book cover on this spread. And again, I'm just loving how this one's looking as well. I also have a list that I make for all of the books that I buy and receive, and also for my physical TBR in general. So I just tick off any that I've read since the last time I updated this spread. And I'm not gonna lie, ticking off things from the physical TBR is so satisfying. My book club spread has become one of my favorites this year. I just glue in the cover of the books that we read each month, and I also write down the title and the author along with who chose that book, and I also like to record each one of our ratings. I just think it's interesting to look back on and see which ones we all loved, or which ones we all really didn't love, or which ones we all had different opinions on. Now it's time to move on to my monthly spreads. So for each month I do 2 double spreads. The first spread I make for each month is a TBR/reading log spread, and the second spread I make is a reading wrap-up spread, which is what I'm filling out here. I'm just gluing in printouts of each of the books that I read in May, because apparently I didn't do that at the end of May. So here are the 11 books that I read in May, and I also like to write my rating of each book somewhere on the page as well. Then it's time to move on to our June spread. So I'm starting off with my TBR/reading log spread, and usually what I do is just pick a color scheme or a piece of scrapbooking paper and go from there. And this time I picked out this little kind of like lavender floral piece of scrapbooking paper that I had, and I just used that as my inspo. I thought it matched really well with some purple cardstock that I already had, so I made some titles with that cardstock. And then as you can see, I just made one side of the spread the TBR, where I glued in all of the 6 books that were on my TBR for June, even though it was a complete fail of a TBR. In hindsight, I didn't read a single book on this TBR. And then on the other side, I just created a little mini reading log where I fill out all of the basic information like title, author, stuff like that. I used to create almost all of my spreads just with different colored pens and textures and colors like that. But this year and last year, I have really loved doing the whole scrapbook paper situation. And some months I'll still use just colored textures instead, but I love using different colored paper and different patterns and things like that. I just love that it gives it a bit of a scrapbook feel. And what I usually do is, because I create 2 spreads for each month, one for the TBR and one for the wrap up, is I will keep the color scheme the same, and usually I'll try and even use the same exact cardstock or the exact same scrapbooking paper, which is what I did with this one. Obviously, like you saw on the TBR page, I cut out the inside of the paper and used the outside almost like a border. So for my wrap up page, I used the inside part that I discarded earlier and glued it on top of some purple cardstock and used the purple as a border and the pattern as the inside, so kind of had it as reverse. And then I just drew some letters on some darker purple cardstock and cut them out. The trick I found with this is, if you don't want to have like little pencil markings over your letters, because sometimes it can be hard to draw them, cut them out, and then rub out the pencil. So I just draw each letter backwards. It does take some getting used to, but honestly, it gets easier over time. And then because you've drawn each letter backwards, the pencil markings are on the back and it just looks way cleaner. So there's my little life hack with that. But this is what the June wrap-up page ended up looking like. And I love this purple spread. Purple is not one of my favorite colors usually, but I love how this one turned out. Reading journal is complete, at least for now. I honestly have a couple more spreads that I still need to update, but for now, I'm happy with this. We added all of our May reads to our wrap-up page. I created my June TBR/reading log page, as well as my June wrap-up page, and I really like how both of those turned out. And then off camera, I have started to work on my July spreads, but I haven't quite finished them yet. This is what the July TBR and reading log spread is looking like so far. And then this is what the wrap-up page is looking like. So again, lots of work to do on that, but for now I feel satisfied with what we got done. I wanted to give you guys one last reading update because I finished Picking Daisies on Sundays last night. Last time I updated you, I was 100 pages in, so about a third of the way through, and I was saying it was good, but it wasn't amazing. And I will say, I feel like the second half to me was better than the first half. I found it more interesting, but overall I just still never got to the point where I was just like obsessed, like consumed by the book, just so excited to keep reading it. I just felt like there were quite a few times in this book, unfortunately, where I just felt a bit bored, and I don't know why, because this book checks so many boxes for me. Like on paper, this is one of those books that I thought I was going going to love, and I know a lot of you guys love it, and I can totally see why people love this book, but it just didn't hit for me, and I wish it did, and I wish I knew why, but I don't know. Honestly, maybe I just wasn't in the right mood for it. That could totally be the reason why, because again, I don't really have any critiques on this book necessarily. It's not like this is the reason why I didn't like it. I just feel like it didn't click with me as much as I hoped it would. I still had a good time, I just wasn't obsessed. I'm pretty sure this is a YA book, and it feels like a YA book, which is not a critique. If a YA book feels like a YA book, that is what it is meant to do. But I do think if I had read this when I was a little younger, I honestly would have eaten it up. I would have loved it. Like, this book was full of the moments that I loved reading about on like Wattpad when I was younger. Those just like very cliche romantic moments, borderline cheesy. Like, this book is full of that. And again, that's not a critique. I just think maybe I didn't read it at the right time, or again, maybe I wasn't in the right mood. But yeah, I just found myself cringing at some points, and I also found myself a little bit bored at some points. Again, I do think the second half was better than the first half, and I was like more intrigued, but overall it just wasn't a favorite for me, and I'm so sad about that because I honestly thought I was going to love this book. Like I said, it checks so many boxes for me in what I look for in a romance book. Yeah, I just didn't connect with the characters very much. The storyline didn't really grasp me, but like I said, I can totally see why people love this because it was such a sweet and romantic book, and I still really recommend it because so many people love this book, and I wish I was one of them. But I think I'm gonna give it maybe like a 3.5 because like I said, I had a good time, just not necessarily a great time, and that's okay. We all have different reading experiences, but I wanted to end off this video here because I feel like I've done all of the bookish things that I was hoping to do. I hope you guys enjoyed spending the last few days with me while we checked off a lot of our bookish to-do list. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed filming it, but I guess I'll see you guys in my next video very soon. Goodbye.